How long will it take for your hair to grow back in after a major hair fall? Around 3 to 6 months after your hair started falling out. But this is assuming two things. One, that your hair loss was from a virus or other stressful event, or from something you can fix like iron deficiency. And two, if it was a deficiency, that you've corrected it. If your hair loss was from childbirth or a virus or an event that was very stressful, you should start seeing hair coming back in within 6 months after your hair started falling out. It could start coming back in as soon as 3 months or as long as about 8, but more likely you'll first start noticing hair regrowth sometime in between. If your hair loss was from iron deficiency, it should start to grow back in once you have increased your iron level. Now, there's no exact ferritin level that you need to have your hair start growing back. Yes, your ferritin should be around 80 to 95 to grow healthy hair, but it will probably start growing back in before it gets that high. My ferritin was very low for 2 decades, as low as 3. Then after I was diagnosed with celiac disease in 2010 and started taking iron, my ferritin went from 5 to 35 in 4 months. So in just 4 months after I started taking iron, my hair was already starting to come in thicker. I had a few centimeters of much thicker growth at the roots, which means that my hair actually started coming back in even before my ferritin reached 35. So if you are consistently taking iron and your ferritin is increasing, then you should start seeing your hair coming in. But if you're still actively losing your hair from the initial iron deficiency trigger, then you need to go through that hair loss, which takes about 5 to 6 months, or sometimes a bit longer, up to a year or slightly more. But know that if your hair loss is caused by iron deficiency, your hair won't just keep falling out forever. The hair loss will eventually slow down, and then your hair will begin to fall out in a normal amount. And then a few months later, if you've taken in enough iron, your hair will start to regrow. I'll say that again because I get asked this a lot. So if your hair is still falling out right now from iron deficiency and you start taking iron now, you still need to wait for the hair loss to stop. And then a few months after that, you will likely start seeing your hair begin to regrow. So you can think of it like this. Once your iron level in your body gets too low, it's like a switch is flipped and it tells your body that, okay, these hairs will fall out starting in a few months. And my understanding, unfortunately, is that the way it works is that once that switch has been flipped, there is nothing you can do about it. You just have to wait it out. So for myself, my hair started to come back in a couple of months after I started supplementing because I had already gone through that active shedding phase years ago when I was 19. And then it was super thin until 2018. And then because my body was just waiting for that iron, and then when I started taking iron in 2018, my hair was able to regrow quite quickly. If you have had iron deficiency for many years, your hair won't be able to grow properly. You might have some hairs that grow to full length, but many of them might be stuck growing in a short cycle, so it'll be thicker at the crown and then much thinner at the ends. So it might look something like this. This is me back in 2018 before I started taking iron consistently. So you can see how thin my hair was, especially further from the scalp. It's really crazy actually looking back on how thin it was. And that wasn't from the hair breaking. It was falling out before it was reaching full length. So most of my hairs weren't able to grow to the full length because they just didn't have enough iron. Another thing that happened was that as my body absorbed iron and my hair started to regrow, I did continue to lose short hairs for actually quite a long time. I'm not exactly sure why this happens, but I think what was happening was that my body was pushing out the old thin hairs and replacing them with new healthier hairs since it finally had enough iron. So you might notice some shedding as well once you start taking iron. Hair takes a while to regrow though, so once you start seeing it come back in, it will take time for it to grow back to whatever length your hair is. And everyone's hair grows at different speeds, but I believe the average is about 15 centimeters or 6 inches per year. So to get to your chin, it might take a year and a half or so. And know that there are other causes of hair loss besides iron deficiency. So if your ferritin is normal, then your doctor should be investigating to see what might be going on for you. And as always, don't wait for others to fix you. Become informed and advocate for yourself. Bye for now.